Sham Sharadava Nalalida Lokam Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Lokam Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Praptasya Kalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Mahaprabhu ki Tana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Senam Romanchakam Pasu Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shingaratanma Niramarjanado Juktasya Bhaktam Sa Niyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavad Prasada Svatvana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Kridvaiva Trupti Bhajata Shadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Shiradikama Davayara Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Shiradikama Para Madhurya Pratikshana Sadhanala Lupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Ne kunjayuno ratikeli sidhai Jajali bher jokte apekshaniya Tatrati daksha ativalabhasya Bande guru shri charana vrindam. Saksha dhari daina Shamasta shastri Ruktastatava Vyataiva sadhuvi. Kintu pravarja priya eva tasya Vande guru shri charana vrindam. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadam nagati kutapi. Yasya prasadam nagati Dhyayam stuvam tasya yasatri sandhyam Bande guru shri charana vrindam. Dhyayam stuvam tasya yasatri sandhyam Bande guru shri charana vrindam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Deshatarine. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hariyaraya Nama, Krishna Jadavaya Nama, Hariya Jadavaya Nama, Jadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha. Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता श्री रूप सनातन भट्टर गुना श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दासर गुना श्री राधा नील माधव राधा नील माधव राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शन चक्र जय सीताराम 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 जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद महाराज निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर प्रमानंद हरि हरि बोल जय विष्णुपाद परम प्रभाजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सरस्वती श्री महाराज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभोचर विन भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज शील प्रभुपाद की जय इस्कॉन प्रतिष्ठा विविधि सांस्तव कचर वैष्णव श्रमणि पतित पावन शील प्रभुपाद जी महाराज की जय श्री गौरिया गुरु वर्गापति उद्धार की जय श्री रूप सनातन भद्र गुनाथ जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास गुण सदगोस्वामी प्रभु की जय नामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय नान्त कुछ वैष्णव वृंद की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय जय परम दयाल श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय जय प्रेम नाम संकीर्तनिक जनक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिनंदन श्रीमन गौरंग श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि महावृनाय अवतार की जय गोलोकेर प्रमधान हरि नाम संकीर्तन जय की जय जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय बृहत मृदंग ट्वेंस नैतुल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय शिशु राधा कृष्ण गोप कृष्ण राधा कुंज श्याम कुंज गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय श्री ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन मथुर धाम की जय तेलोर शिव शिशु राधा नील माधव की जय शिशु मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय परम करुणा श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय जगंगा में जमुना माई की जय तुलसी महारानी वृंदी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय श्रीमती राधारानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौरी प्रमानंद हरि all glory to the assembly bodies all glory to the assembly bodies all glory to the assembly bodies all glories all glories all glories to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रहलाद लाद दायिने हिरण्यकाशिपूर्वक्षः शीलतां कालहये
शीलतां
तो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा
ito nisinga parato nisinga
यतो यतो यामिततो नरसिंहा
jato jato jamitato nisinga
बाहिर नरसिंहा हृदय नरसिंहा
ahi nisinga rudaye nisinga
नरसिंह गवदिं शरणं प्रपदे
narasimhamadim sharanam prapade
तव कर कमलवरे नाकाम अबुध शिंगाम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तन भृंगाम केशवद्रीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तब कर कमलवरे नाकाम अबुध शिंगाम ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगाम केशवदीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवदीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय
केशवदीता
केशवदीता
नरहरि रूपा
जय जगदीश हरे
जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नृसिंहदेव जय नृसिंहदेव जय नृसिंहदेव जय नृसिंहदेव
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नृसिंहदेव जय नृसिंहदेव जय नृसिंहदेव
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय नरसिंह स्वामी की जय
श्री वृंदाई तुलसी बाई प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्राद देवी शतवताय नमो नमः वृंदाई तुलसी बाई प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्राद देवी सतवताय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रिय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्यारे देवी सतवतये नमो नमः। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
राधा कृष्णा सेवा पाबो ए अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावा ए अभिलाषी।
राधा कृष्णा सेवा पाबो ए अभिलाषी
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावा ए अभिलाषी।
जे तो मारा शरण लो तारा वंचा पूर्ण हो
तुम्हार शरण तारा वंच पूर्ण।
कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी
तुम्हें कृपा करे कर तरे वृंदावन वासी।
आए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास
मोराया विलास कुंज दियावा।
नयने हरिब सदा जुगल रूपरासी
अमिनायाने रिभो सदा जुगल रूपरासी।
ए निवेदना धारो साखीर अनुगाता कोरो
एने वेदानाधार सखीरायनो गत करो।
सेवा अधिकारा दिए कोरो निज दासी
सेवायादि कर दिए कर निजदासी।
दीना कृष्ण दासे कोई जीना मोरा होए
कृष्ण दास को
सदा जीना भासी
श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये नदासी
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा जीना भासी
श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये नदासी
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंदा देवी की जय
Jai. Shri Vrindai Tulasi Vai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavataye Namo Namaha. Vrindai Tulasi Vai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavataye Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavataye Namah. Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Brinda Devi Ki Jai. O Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of years wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him and make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence of Vrindavan. That's within my vision. I always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a full Davidians of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own met servant. This very fallen and lowly servant Krishna praise. May I always sing in love Shri Radha and Govind. Shri Mati Tulasi Maharani Brinda Devi Ki. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Ki. Chaito Dapanam Mahanam Bhavamara. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Gaudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Shmarena Kala Pita Drishita Vakripaya Bhagavan Namaki Durdhaiva Midishamya Janina Nuraga Narapi Sumijena Tarorapi Saishnana Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Nadhanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadishakamayi Mama Janmani Janmaneshwari Bhavatar Bhakti Rahituki Twayi Oinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Paritamam Vishame Bhavambudo Kripaya Tavapada Pankaja Sitaduli Sadrisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galora Shrudharaya Vadanam Gadagada Hridaya Gira Pulakarin Chitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishati Jugaitam Nimishena Chakusha Pravusaitam Shanya Itam Jagata Sarvam Govinda Virahinami Asli Shava Padaratam Pinashtumam Adarshanan Marmatam Karotuva Jata Tathava Vidadatulam Pato Matprana Tastu Saivana Para Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Ki Jai Namo Mahavadana Krishna Prema Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of the just sacrament for years, and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. The holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govind. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There is not even hard and fast rule for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to approach you by holy names. But I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause of devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet some or other I'm following this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and you should remain so, even if Sandra's me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything,
for he is
He's
my
always my
worshipful
worshipful
Lord,
Lord,
unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Saksastakam ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanam. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvisesa Sunyapadi Paskati Satana.
The 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1.
To blaspheme the devotees, dedicate their lives to propagating the holy names of the Lord.
2.
To consider names of demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Rama, to be equal to our independent names of Lord Vishnu.
3.
To disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
4.
To blaspheme the Vedic literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
5.
Consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna
to
to
the
imagination.
6. To give
To give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
7.
To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord.
8.
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruit of activity karma kanda.
9.
To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
And 10.
To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions in this matter.
It is also an offense to be irritated while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve your desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our respectful blessings unto all the Vaishnavas
The Lord, they are just like desired trees that can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhebhacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vaishnava Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanam. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyani Paskati Vistarni. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yato Niviyat Itaratas Chote Sovigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hirdaya Ikavaye Muyanti Yatsurayaha Tejo Vari Madam Yata Vinimayo Yatrauchi Sargomisha. Thank you. Damna Svena Sada Nirastat Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes, of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. And he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen on fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by reactions to the three modes of nature, appear factual although they are real. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental world, which is forever free from the illusory representations of material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Dharma projita kaitavotara. Paramo nirmatsiranam siddha. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu. Shivadam tapa trayom nulana. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamani Kriyate.
Srimad Bhagavate Mahamanu
Kim Vapurir Ishwaraha.
Kimva Parishwara
Sadyo Hridaya Varudyatitra.
Sadhyaruddhya Varidya
Kriti Vihi Susubhistakshana. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated.
Rejecting all religious activities.
This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth,
This Bhagavad Purana propounds the
which is
highest truth,
understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
which is understandable by those who are just fully pure.
The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all.
The highest truth, their reality distinguished from illusion for the world.
Such truth uproots the threefold
Such a
mysteries.
truth uproots the
This
threefold
beautiful
mysteries.
Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled with the great sage Vyasa
is sufficient in itself for God
is
realization.
sufficient itself for God.
What is the need of any other scripture?
What is the need of the other
As
scripture?
soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of
As
Bhagavatam,
soon as one attentive and submissive hears the message,
by this culture of knowledge,
By this
the
culture
Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
Supreme Lord is established within us.
Nigama kalpataror galitam phulam,
Nigama kalpatoro galitam
sukamukad amrita dravya
Sukam
samhitam,
khad mrititravasam.
Pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam,
Ibata bhagavatam rasam.
muhur aho rasika bhuvi
Mura
bhavakaha.
horasika.
O expert in thoughtful man, relish Srimad Bhagavatam,
Oh, expert in thought from religion.
the mature fruit of the desire through Vedic literatures.
The mature for the desire to the very
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
It emanated from the lips of Shishugadeva Goswami.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Therefore, this food has become even more
Although its
tasteful.
nectar juice was already relishable for
Although its
all,
nectarine juice was so relishable for all,
including liberated souls.
including liberated souls.
Shinvatam Swakata Krishna,
Shambhatam swakata
Punya
Krishna,
Shravana Kirtanam,
Punya Shravana Kirtanam,
Idyantak Stohi Padrani,
Idyantastu Hyabhadani,
Vidunoti Srihit
Vidunati
Satam.
Suritsatam.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures,
To hear about Krishna from the Vedic,
or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita,
or to hear from it directly through
is
the
itself righteous activity.
It is self-righteous.
And for one who hears about Krishna,
And for one who hears about
Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart,
Lord Krishna is dwelling within everyone's
acts
heart,
as a best wishing friend,
acts as the best wish,
and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
and purifies the devotee constantly engages in
Nasta
hearing.
preso bhadresu
Nasta presha bhadreshu,
nityam bhagavata sevaya
nityam bhagavata sevaya,
bhagavati uttamashloke
Bhagavati uttama
bhaktir
shloke,
bhavati
bhakti
naistaki.
bhavati nastaki.
In this way, devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental
In this way,
knowledge.
devotee naturally develop his dormant
As he
transcendental
hears
knowledge.
more about Krishna from the
As
Bhagavatam
he hears more about Krishna from the
and from the
and
devotees,
from the
he becomes fixed in the devotional service of
becomes
the Lord.
fixed in devotional service of the Lord.
Tadarajastamo bhava
Rajastamo bhava,
kamalobhadayaschaye
Kamalobhadayaschaye,
cheta itaranavidam
Cheta
stitvam
itaranavindam,
sattve
Stittam
prasiditi.
sattve prasiddhi.
By development of devotional
By
service,
development of devotional
one
service,
becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance,
one becomes freed from the modes of passion,
and thus material lust and avarice are
and
diminished.
thus material lust and avarice are
Evam
diminished.
prasana manaso
Evam prasanna
bhagavat
manasa,
bhakti yogataha
Bhagavat bhakti yoga,
bhagavat tattva vijnana
Bhagavat tattva
bhakti
vijnana,
sangasya
Mukta
jayate.
sangasya jayate.
When these impurities are wiped away,
When these impurities are
the
wiped,
candidate remains steady in his position of
the
pure
candidate
goodness,
remains steady in position of
becomes
goodness,
enlivened by devotional
becomes enlivened
service,
by devotional
and
service,
understands the science of God
and
perfectly.
understands the sense of God.
Vidyate hridaya grantis Chid-
Grantis,
chidyante sarvasamsaya
Shidyante sarvasam,
shiyante chasya karmani
Shiyante chasakarmani,
jista eva atmanishware.
Jasta eva atmanishvara.
Thus, bhakti yoga serves the heart not of material affection,
Thus the Bhakti Yoga serves the harness of material,
and enables one to come at once to the stage of a samsayam samagram,
and enables them to come at once to the stage of some
understanding of the supreme absolute truth personality Godhead.
understanding of the supreme absolute truth.
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna from his
can one
devotees,
understand the science of Krishna.
one understand the science of
Shri Guru Vastika prayers, Ki Jai, the spiritual masters receiving benedicts from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it.
The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as the cloud pours water for the fire to extinguish it.
So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material
So the
existence.
spiritual master delivers the material afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire.
I offer my respectful obeisance to the lotus feet of such spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious quality.
I offer my respectful obeisance to lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is in the ocean of
Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing, playing musical instruments.
Chanting holy name, dancing, ecstasy, singing, and playing music.
The spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya
The
Mahaprabhu.
spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan moment of Lord
Because he's relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind.
because he's relishing the mellows of pure devotion.
Sometimes his hair stands on end.
Sometimes his hair stands on
He,
end.
He feels quivering in his body,
He feels quivering in his body.
and tears flow from his eyes like
And tears
waves.
flow from his eyes like
I offer my
waves.
respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lotus feet of
The
such a
spiritual master is always engaged in temple worship of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna.
spiritual master is always engaged in temple worship. Shishurada.
He also engages his disciples in such worship.
He also engages his disciples.
They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and
They
ornaments,
dress the deities in beautiful clothes.
clean
and
their
ornaments,
temple,
clean the
and
temple,
perform other similar worship of the
And
Lord.
perform
I offer
other
my
similar
respectful
worship of the
obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance to the Lotus feet of
The
such a
spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food.
The spiritual master always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food.
Analyzes that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked.
Analyze that which is lit, chewed, drunk, and
When
sucked.
the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasada,
When the spiritual master sees that devotees are satisfied by eating
he is
Prasada,
satisfied.
he is
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lotus feet of such a
The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and
The
Madhava,
spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika
and their qualities, names, and forms.
and the qualities
The
names.
spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment.
The spiritual master aspires to really
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual
I offer my
master.
respectful obeisance unto the Lotus feet of
The
such a
spiritual master is very dear because he is expert at assisting the gopis who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of
The
Vrindavan.
spiritual master is very dear because he's expert in assisting the gopis who at different times make different tasteful arrangement for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan.
I offer my most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my most humble obeisance unto the Lotus feet of such a spirit.
The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord.
Honored as much as Supreme Lord because he's the most confidential servitor.
This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all
This is
authorities.
acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by the
Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master as a bona fide representative of Sri Hare Krishna.
Therefore, for my respectful obeisance unto the Lotus feet of such a spiritual master, always a bona fide representative of Sri Hare Krishna.
By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna.
By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction.
Without
of
the
Krishna.
grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any
Without the
advancement.
grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advance.
Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master.
Therefore, I should always remember
At least-
and praise the spiritual master.
At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual
Every
master.
3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisance to the Lotus feet of my
Shri
spiritual
Brahma Samhita Ki Jai Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Nadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam.
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sakchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karana
Chintamani Prakarasatma Sukalpa Vriksha
Chintamani Prakarasadma Sukalpa Vriksha
Lakshavrite Supsurabhira Vipaliantam
Lakshya Vitesh Shurabhira Vipalayan
Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambrama Sevyamanam
Lakshmi Sahasha Sata Sambrama Seva
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Venam Kananta Arvinda Dalayataksham
Venam Kwanantam Aravinda Dalayita
Madhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam
Aham Vatantam Asutam Buddha Sundara
Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham
Darpakoti Kamani Vishesha
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Alola Chandra Kalasadvanamalya Vamsi
Alura Chandra Kala Sarvanamali
Ratnam Gidam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam
Nangam Pranaya Keli Kalavi
Shyamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyataprakasam
Yamam Tribhangala Ritam Niyata
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti
Angani Yasa Sakalindriya Vritti
Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti
Asyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram
Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya
Ananda Chinmaya Sadujjala Vigraha
Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam
Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantam
Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha
Adyam Purana Purusham Navajovanam
Vede Sadurlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto
Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham
Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Pantastakoti Satavatsara Sampragamyo
Antastukoti Sadavatsara Sampadayo
Vayuratapi Manaso Munipungamano
Vayuratapi Manaso Munipungava
Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tatve
Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimcha
Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Eko Presora Chaitum Jagadanda Kotim
Ekapyasu Jagajitum Jagadanta
Yas Chaktirasti Jagadanda Chayayadanta
Jaktirasti Jagananda Chaya
Anantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam
Anantarashta Paramanu Chayantara
Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham
Yat bhava bhavita diyo manajastataiva.
Jal bhava bhavita dhiyo manijastha
Samprapya rupa mahima sanayana bhusaha.
samprapya rupa mahima sanayana bhusha
Suktaryameva nigama pratitaistuvanti.
shukteryam eva nigama prasthas
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham
Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Patibhavitabhis.
ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavita
Tabirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabhihi.
tavirya eva nijarupataya alkala
Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhuto.
goloka eva nivasatya kila
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham
Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena.
premanjana chuhrita bhakti vilochana
Santaksadeva Hidesu Vilokayanti.
santa sadeva hrideshu vilokam
Ya Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam.
syama sundaram achintya gunaswarup
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham
Ramadi Murti Sukalani Yamena Tistan.
ramadi moti shukalani yamena
Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvane Sukintu.
nanavatara makarot bhuvaneshu kintu
Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramaha Pumam Yo.
krishna swayam samabhavat paramam pumam
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham
Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagananda Koti.
yasha prabha prabhavato jagananda
Koti Su Asesu Vasudadi Vibhuti Benam.
kotya swashesha vasudhari vibhuti vinam
Tad Brahmaniskalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam.
tad brahmaniskalam anantam ashesha
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham tamaham
Maya Hiyasya Jagananda Satani Sute.
maya iyasa jagananda satani sutra
Tragunyatad Vishayaveda Vitayamana.
Trigunyatad vishaya veda vitaya
Sattvabalambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam.
Sarvavalambi parastatvam visuddha
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham
Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Mataya Manasu.
ananda chinmaya rasamataya
Yapraninam Pratifulam Smaratam Upetya.
yapraninam pratipalam smaratam
Lilayatena Bhuvanani Jayat Yajasram.
lilayitena bhuvanani jajasram
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham
Goloka Namni Nijadamni Tale Chatasya.
goloka namni nijadamni tali
Devi Mahesu Haridama Satesu Tesu.
devi mahesha haridama shuteshu
Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vitasjayena.
tete prabhavachi ahita
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindam adi purusham
Shisti Stati Pralaya Sadhana Sakti Reka.
Sthiti sthiti pralaya sadhana
Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga.
Chayeva yasha bhuvanani vibhati
Ichana Rupam Apiyasya Chachesta Tesa.
chanurupamapi yasya chatisthati
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindamadi purusham
Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Visesha Yoga.
kiram yathadari vikara vishesha
Sanjayate Nahitata Pritakasti Hetoho.
sanjayate nahitata pritakasti hetu
Yasambutam Apitata Samapaitikarya.
yam sambhutam apitata samupayata
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
govindamadi purusham
Departed Eva Hita Santanam Abhyapetya.
Deepachi eva isantamnaramam
Vipayate Vivita Hetu Samanu Dharma.
Deepayate vivita hetu samana dharma
Yastadrik Eva Hicha Vishnutaya Vibhati.
Yastadrigeya ichachivistaya
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
Adi purusham tamaham bhajami
Yakarna Narnava Jale Bhajati Sma Yoga.
Yakarnanam vajale vajati sma yoga
Nidramananta Jagananda Saroma Kupaha.
Nidramananta jagananda saroma kupa
Adhara Shaktim Avalambya Param Swamutim.
Adhara shaktim avalambya param samukham
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
Govindamadi purusham tamaham
Yasyaika Nisvasita Kalamatavalamya.
Yasheka nisvasitala atavalam
Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagananda Nataha.
Jivanti loma vilaja jagananda
Vishnur Mahansa Hiryasya Kala Vishesho.
Vishnur mahansa yaya chakala vishesha
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
Govindamadi purusham tamaham
Basman Yatasma Sakalesu Nijesu Tejaha.
Tasma sakaleshu nijeshu
Swayam Kiyat Prakatiyat Apitad Vadatra.
Siyam kyapagata jajachitadata
Brahmaya Esa Jagananda Vidana Karta.
Brahmaya esha jagananda vidhana
Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami.
Govindamadi purusham
Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha.
Yatpada palava yugami vidaya
Twande Pranama Samayesa Kanadi Rajaha.
Vindri pranama samayesya ganati
Vignan Vihantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya.
Vignam
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham
Agnir Mahi Gaganamambu Marudisascha.
Agnir Maye Gagana Ambu Marudis
Kalastatatma Manasiti Jagatrayani. Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Amcha. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yes Chakshuresa Savita Sagala Grahanam. Raja Samasta Suramurti Rasesa Tejaha. Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Dharmo Tapapa Nichaya Sutayastapamsi. Brahmadi Kita Patagava Dayascha Jivaha. Yadata Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yasvindra Gopa Matavendra Mahosvakarma. Bandhana Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti. Karmani Nirdhati Kintu Chabakti Bhajam. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Bitti. Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavahai. Sanchintya Tasya Sadrasimtanamapurite. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shriya Kanta Kanta Paramapurusha Kalpataravo. Jumad Bhumis Chintamani Ganamayi Toyamamritam. Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Apivamsi Priyasaki. Chid Anandam Jyoti Param Apitad Asvadyam Apicha. Sayatra Shiradi Bihi Swabhati Surabi Vyascha Sumahan. Nime Sardakyo Vavrajiti Nahi Atrapi Samaya. Bhajay Sveta Dvipam Tamaham Iha Golakamitiyam. Vedanta Ste Santakshiti Viravachara Katipaye. Shishopanishad Ki Jai. Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamidachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate.
Ishavaishamidam Sarvam Jatkinja Jagatyam Jagatina Taktena Bunjitaha Magritaha Kasasvidanam.
Ishavaishamidam Sarvam Jatkinja Jagatyam Jagatena Taktena Bunjita.
Kurvani Vahakarmani Jajiva Chek Chatam Samaha Evam Twayi Nanyateto Stina Karma Lipite Nare.
Kurvan Evya Karmani Jajiva Chek Chatam Samaha Evam Tyayi Nachyati Tusti Na Karma Lipyati Nare.
Asurya Namate Loka Andena Tamasavritaha Tamste Pritya Vigachanti Yeke Chatmahano Janaha.
Asurya Namate Loka Andena Tamasavrita Tamste Pratyabhagichanti Yeke Chatmanahanu Jana.
Anija Dekamanso Javio Nena Devam Apavam Pavam Asata Davatonya Teti Tistat Asminapomata Visvatadati.
Anija Dekamanaso Vajivo Nenam Devo Apunam Purvam Asa Ta Davatonya Achetas Trista Tasmin Apo Matisvada.
Adijatita Nejati Tadure Tadvantike Tadantarasya Sarvasya Tadusarvasya Bayataha.
Tarijatitan nejati tadure tarantike tarantarasya sarvasya taru sarvasya sabayata.
Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmani Vanupasyati Sarvabhute Sachatmanam Tato Na Vijagupsate.
Yastu sarvani bhutani admin evanupapsate sarvabhute shucharmanam tato na vijigupsate.
Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani Atmeva Bhud Vijanataha Tatrako Mahakaha Soka Ekatvam Anupasyataha.
Yasmin sarvabhutani admava bhut vijanataha tatratukum mohakat soka
Sa Prayagachukam Navaranam Asnavinam Sudam Apavavidam Kavir Manisi Paribu Swayambu Yatatat Yutoratan Vyadadach Jasvatipyaha Samabyaha
Saparagya Chukam Akayam Avrinam Asnaviram Sudam Apapavidam Kabir Manisi Prabhu Swayambhu Vitata Tatyot Atam Vidyadachat Sabibhya
Andam
Samaha
Tamahapavisanti Ye Vidyam Upasyate Tato Bhuyavite Tamo Yayu Vidyayam Rataha
Andam Tama Prasichanti Ye Vidyam Upsate Tato Bhuya Ibate Tamu Ya Uvidyayam Rataha
Anyad Evahu Vidyaya Anyad Ahura Vidyaya Iti Susruma Dhiranam Yenastad Vichachak Sire
Anyadevavur Vidyaya Anyalavur Avidyaya Iti Shishruma Dhiranam Yenasta Vichachakshire
Vidyam Cha Yas Tadvedo Bayam Saha Vidyaya Militum Tirva Vidyayam Ritamasnute
Vidyam Cha Yas Tavido Vayam Saha Avidyam Ritum Tirva Vidyam Ritam Asnute
Andham Tamahapravisanti Ye Sambhutim Upasyate Tato Bhuyavite Tamo Yayu Sambhutam Rataha
Andam Tama Pravishanti Ye Sambhutim Upasate Tato Bhuya Ivate Tamu Ya Usambhutyam Rataha
Anyad Evahu Sambhavat Anyad Ahura Sambhavat Iti Susruma Dhiranam Yenastad Vichachak Sire
Anyadevavur Sambhavat Anyalavur Sambhavat Iti Shishruma Dhiranam Yenastata Vichachakshire
Sambhutim Cha Vinasam Cha Yastad Vedo Bayam Saha Vinasena Militum Tirva Sambhutam Ritamasnute
Sambhutim Cha Visheshacham Cha Yastad Vidodhyam Saha Yasena Mritum Tirva Asambhutyam Ritam Asmite
Hiranmayana Patrena Satyasya Pitam Mukam Tatpam Pusama Pavrinu Satyitar Mahidristaye
Hiranmayena Pratena Satya Pitam Mukam Tatvam Pushama Vadvishnu Satya Dharmasatustaye
Pusane Kaseyama Surya Prajapatya Vyuha Rasmin Samahatejo Yatte Rupam Kalyanatamam Tate Pusyami Yo Savaso Purushaha Sohamasmi
Bhusane Kase Yama Surya Prajapatya Vyuyam Shasmina Smanatejo Jeta Rupam Kalyana Tamam Tate Pasyami Yosa Aso
Vayuranilam Amritam Matedam Basmantam Sariram Om Krato Smara Kritam Smara Krato Smara Kritam Smara
Ayuranimal Amritam Adenam Rasamatam Sashariram Om Kratushmara Kritashmara Kratushmara Kritam Smara
Om Agnina Supatare Swan Vishmani Deva Vayunani Vidvan Yo Dajmas Juranamino Buyastam Te Nama Uktim Vidima Om Tatsat
Om Naya Supatarai Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunim Trivam Yudusha Asma Yunasana Meno Buyitam Te Nama Uktim Vidima
Shrimad Bhagavate Canto 2 Chapter 7 Text 27. There is no doubt about Lord Krishna's being the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how was it possible for him to kill a giant demon like Putana when he was just on the lap of his mother? To overturn a cart with his leg when he was only 3 months old? To uproot a pair of Arjuna trees so high that they touched the sky when he was only crawling? All these activities are impossible for anyone other than the Lord himself. So yesterday we were discussing the second canto, 9th chapter, 32nd verse. All of me, namely my actual eternal form, my transcendental existence, color, qualities, and activities, let all be awakened within you by factual realization out of my causeless mercy. So, one of the really major points that was made is, in the Vedas also it is said that a person cannot know the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, simply by dint of mundane education or intellectual gymnastics. One can know the supreme truth if one has unflinching faith in the bona fide spiritual master, as well as in the Lord. Yasya Devi Parabhakti Yata Devi Tata Kuru Tasyaite Katita Hiratak Pakasante Mahatmanaha. So this is the Svatasvatara Upanishad, 6th chapter, I guess, 23rd verse. Okay. So then it says, such a faithful person, even though illiterate in the mundane sense, can know the Lord automatically by the mercy of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita also. Now, this is a big point, very big point. And this is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, 3rd Canto, 2nd chapter, 26th verse, and Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 2nd verse, where it says, Prakasas cha karmanya abhyasat. What does that mean? It says that by devotional service, which is so potent, simply by engaging in devotional service, one is enlightened, even if one is illiterate. Everything is revealed to such a person by Krishna's mercy. So that's very important. Also, 9th chapter, 2nd verse, it says, 1 second, it quotes this verse from the Vedanta Sutra, but it also goes a little bit further and says, in the Vedanta Sutra 3.2.26, this is also described in the following words, Prakasascha karmanyabhyasat. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. A practical example of this can be seen in the previous life of Narada, who in that life happened to be the son of a maidservant. He had no education, nor was he born into a high family. But when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada also became engaged, and sometimes in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself. So he was able to taste the remnants of these pure devotees during a 4-month period, and he developed, although he's only like 5 years old, he developed a taste to hearing their discourses, although he didn't understand much of it, but he had this taste for hearing. So, therefore, Prabhupada says, the great devotees relished the taste of unceasing devotional service to the Lord by hearing and chanting, and Narada gradually developed the same taste. And then it says, by associating with these sages, Narada got the taste for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in Vedanta Sutra, Prakasascha karmanya abhyasat, if one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically, and he can understand. This is called pratyaksha, directly perceived. So, this is real technique of accepting knowledge. It's not hearing from mundane people. It's hearing from transcendentally situated people. And hearing what? Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam spoken correctly and in context. And also taking the remnants of prasadam of great devotees, and also regular preaching and sankirtan and chanting. So all these things put together mean that even an illiterate person who cannot read, cannot write, they can also be fully realized in Krishna consciousness and become a pure devotee. Okay, so that's very important. And then also in the 11th chapter, 53rd verse of Bhagavad Gita, it says, 11th chapter, 53rd verse, Naham Veda Natapasa Nadani Nachejaya Sakya Evam Vido Drastram Dristavan Asimam Yata. The form, O Arjuna, the form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Wow. So this is a very powerful verse, and the purport Prabhupada says, first, Krishna first appeared before his parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, in a 4-handed form, and then he transformed himself into the 2-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists or who are devoid of devotional service, for scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualification. Krishna is not possible to understand. So therefore, all these books written by these great scholars, Sanskritists, who know Sanskrit, who can read the Vedas, and who've been studying it all their whole life, they don't know anything. They don't know anything. The little bit that they know, they are puffed up about, but the essential thing, they don't know. What is that essential thing? Krishna is not possible to understand, nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. So the next verse, a very famous verse, it says, basically, Bhaktya tvananyaya sakya aham evam vidururjana gyatam jastam chitatvena pravestam cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undevoted devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Now, the mysteries, yes, that's definitely a word. Rahasyam hitad uttamam. This knowledge of Krishna is mysterious, because the mystery is you can only understand it by pure devotional service. And what is pure devotional service? What is the first principle of pure devotional service? Hearing from bona fide authorities. And one must have bona fide guru and shiksha and diksha gurus, so that one can ask questions and hopefully get the right answers. How do you get the right answer? When not only does the guru say, this is like this and this is like that, but shows you where Krishna has said this in Bhagavad Gita, and where the devotees have said the same thing in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you know. Then the triangle of verification is closed. Triangle of verification is Krishna's words, the Acharya's words, and the present Guru's, Shiksha and Diksha Guru's words. They should all correspond. They should all validate each other. Right? Then you know that the triangle is closed, and that's the triangle of verification. Okay, so then again, in the 8th chapter, 28th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, there's more information. 8th chapter, 28th verse says, it says, Yajneshu yad Vedesu yajneshu tapasu chaiva danesu yat punya phalam pratistam adyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param stanam upaiti chadya. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end he reaches me, or at the end he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So, the benefit of going directly to devotional service under the direction of bona fide gurus is the following. Prabhupada says, the beauty of Krishna consciousness is that by one stroke, by engaging in devotional service, one can surpass all the rituals of the different orders of life. So therefore, people say, oh, you don't do Satyanarayana Puja? Oh, there's something wrong with you. You know, oh, you don't stay up all night on Shivaratri. Oh, there's something wrong with you. You can join us. We play cards and smoke ganja all night long, and we love Lord Shiva. This is all nonsense. I mean, there are some serious followers of Lord Shiva, definitely, but most of them are not serious. Most of them are. He has three kinds of devotees. He has the ghosts and hobgoblins. One. He has the ganja smokers, and he has some serious Brahmins. He has all three. Well, amongst those serious Brahmins, there's some unserious Brahmins also, but there are a few that are serious. So, you're not going to find a lot of, let's say, pure devotion amongst most of those people. However, in Krishna consciousness, which is something special, so Krishna says clearly, Naham prakasa sarvasa yogamaya samanvitaha buddho yam nabijananti lokamam ajam avyayam. He clearly says that he is not, he has the right not to expose himself, not to show himself. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone, and he keeps himself concealed from the faithless by his yogamaya potency. So we went over this yesterday. Also, the 14th chapter, 17th verse. Let's take a look at that. 14th chapter, 17th verse. Where it says, from the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Okay, so what does it say here? It says that if the world is devoted to the modes of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad or crazy, being distressed by their circumstances. They take shelter of intoxication, and thus they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark. So, this is the state of our present civilization today. It's not fun to live today because everyone has to work really hard. There's anxiety, there's fear, there's doubts. Things are always changing, First they say it started with the Big Bang. Then they say, well, it didn't exactly start from the Big Bang. It started by something else, right? We found that out yesterday. And it's been since 2017 that the Big Bang is not the final. But have they changed the textbooks in the high schools? I don't think so. Most people still talk about Big Bang. So we see that, it's very frustrating. And then people say, well, you need the vaccine. But don't take that vaccine because you get blood clots and you get heart attacks by taking that when you have to take this other vaccine, And then later on they say, well, this other vaccine also has got some problems. So we got another vaccine you can take, and you can take at least 4 or 5, supplementary shots also, even of the vaccines that are not good, because we don't have another vaccine yet, but we're going to get that soon also. So this is all nonsense. It's driving people crazy, right? They take all the vaccines, they take the extra shots, and they still get the COVID. You see, so this world today is very, very disturbing, and people are, now there's a new movement. The new movement is young people are taking to farms and living simple life in nature. Did you know that? It was in the newspaper also. There's many young people are dropping out of school, dropping out of professions, and buying small farms and just living a simple life. Did you know that? You can look it up right now. Yes, because you go crazy, right? There's a Big Bang. No, it's not the Big Bang. You know, we come from monkeys. No, we didn't come from monkeys. And every day there's some new revelation that what we thought was science is actually not science. It's just humbug, right? So this drives people crazy. They say, wait a minute, there's nothing sure anymore, you know. And then, you know, everyone's predicting, oh, pretty soon the dollar is not going to be worth anything. You know, we'll have to use the Chinese yen. And Biden is going crazy. You know, he's going to have to resign because he's all confused in his mind. You know, he's not fit to be the president. You know, all these things, man, it's enough to drive a person crazy. And then, yeah, do you see anything like that?
Yes, sir.
What's it say? Okay, come to the microphone.
It's so interesting.
3 days back, right, exactly. People say, oh, Hari Vilas is crazy. You know, he's taking care of cows and growing vegetables. You know, I'm going to send my kid to MIT or Stanford so he can get an IT job. Well, let me tell you something. Most of those IT jobs are going to be lost pretty soon. Go ahead.
Why some young workers are leaving their office jobs to work on farms? This is how I want my life to go.
What?
This is how I want my life to go. James Marriott leaves for work before sunrise. His commute starts on Boston Crowded Street and ends at Durham Farm. With degrees in neuroscience and global health, the 24-year-old has recently taken a new job in farming. It is a much different skill set, far from the lab of a biotech company where he used to work developing vaccines. This was, you know, a very intentional decision, not something like I don't know what to do. Let me just go work on a farm. This is how I want my life to go.
Haribo. You say?
Apparently, there was another article that's 2017 again. Yeah, so this one.
There's another article.
This is 2017 itself. A growing number of young Americans are leaving desk jobs to farm. So, this is where Liz Whitehurst dabbled in several careers before she ended up here, creating fistfuls of fresh-cut arugula in the early November chill. The hours were better at her non-profit jobs, so were the benefits. But 2 years ago, the 32-year-old Whitehurst, who graduated from liberal arts college and grew up in Chicago suburbs, abandoned Washington for this 3-acre farm in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Haribo.
She joined a growing movement of highly educated ex-urban first-time farmers who are capitalizing on booming consumer demand for local and sustainable foods.
Haribo. Local and sustainable foods.
And who, experts say, could have a broad impact on the food system. And for the first time, for only the second time in the last century, the number of farmers under 35 years old is increasing.
Haribo.
According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
You see? People think we're crazy, right? I don't want my kid to go hear what Hari Vilas says. You know, he might end up being a farmer. I want him to be an IT guy. And I want him to get a PhD. And I want him to be miserable the rest of his life, like me.
So 69% of the surveyed young farmers had college degrees.
Wow. Haribo. Yeah. Okay. The last people to understand are the devotees. I'm telling you right now. The last people to understand. The karmis are understanding, but the devotees are the last to understand. You know, and the devotee kids are the last of the last to understand. This is the shame. You know, it's a shame. Anyway, so Then there's the 13th chapter, 3rd verse. It says, O sign of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So that, see, if you look at the definition of knowledge, look it up right now. The definition of knowledge. I don't know if we did this before. We've done others. I don't know if we did knowledge, but look it up. What does it say?
Facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. The theoretical or practical understanding of a subject is called knowledge.
Okay, so that is very much different than the Vedic understanding. By the way, a GBC man just went on record saying that ISKCON is not Vedic. Can you believe that? This is crazy. He just went on record saying it in a public lecture that ISKCON is not Vedic. This is nonsense. You know, it's even going on in our own movement, in this type of revisionism. They want to revise what Prabhupada said and what Krishna says. Right? Here it says that while discussing the subject of the body and the knower of the body, the soul and the supersoul, we shall find 3 different topics of study: the Lord, the living entities, and matter. In every field of activities, in every body, there are 2 souls, the individual soul and the supersoul. Because the supersoul is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Persona of Godhead, Krishna, Krishna says, I am also the knower, but I am not the individual knower of the body. I am the super knower. I am present in everybody as the Paramatma or supersoul. Okay? That's 13.3. So now, if we look at the verse, which verse was that? One second. Let me just see this. 5:17, is it? The definition of jnana, I mean, I can say it, but I'm going to find where it says, we read Prabhupada's words. The definition of jnana is page 209, okay. One second. I like to read Prabhupada's exact words. Yeah. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.31, Jnanam parama guyam me yad vijnana samanvitam sarahasyam tad angam cha grihana gaditam maya. The knowledge of the self and the super self is very confidential and mysterious, but such knowledge and specific realization can be understood if explained with their various aspects by the Lord himself. Bhagavad Gita gives us that general and specific knowledge of the self. The living entities are parts and parcels of the Lord, and therefore they are simply meant to serve the Lord. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So, from the very beginning of life, one has to learn this Krishna consciousness, and thereby one may become fully Krishna conscious and act accordingly. Well, therefore, jnana, what is it? What is that? What is the meaning of jnana? It means understanding. Jnana refers to the knowledge of the self as distinguished from the non-self, or in other words, knowledge that the spirit soul is not the body. Vijnana refers to specific knowledge of the spirit soul's constitutional position and his relationship to the Supreme Lord. So that is actually knowledge. This is what knowledge is, not what we just read. It's some kind of a description, but it doesn't really get to the fundamental point. The fundamental point is knowledge is first differentiating between the body and the soul, the individual soul, and second, to differentiate between the jiva atma and paramatma, and then come to the conclusion that I am part and parcel of Paramatma, or Krishna, therefore I should engage in the service of the Lord. And everything belongs to the Lord, nothing belongs to me. So all these realizations come once you understand the difference between the body and the individual soul, and the difference between the individual soul and the Paramatma. Then you have knowledge. What kids are learning today is not knowledge, it's ignorance. It's unbelievable that we don't realize it. See? So, and you come down to these basic definitions. What they're defining in the dictionary is actually far off from what it actually means. See? Okay, so that was third chapter, 41st verse, that explains what is jnana and vijnana, knowledge and realized knowledge, right? And then there's jnana, vijnana, and there's pure bhakti, which is the top or topmost knowledge. And that's explained also in the 18th chapter. Let me see that, which may as well do this more thoroughly, where it says, the most confidential knowledge. Let's see where it says that. 1860, well, I think it's 1865. Yes, 1865. Chapter 18, verse 65. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities and all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna. This is what parents should read to his child. This is the most confidential knowledge. This is the real deal. What they're getting is a raw deal. They're getting shortchanged rather than getting the real knowledge. See? So we don't understand. I mean, these definitions are misleading, and they just derail kids from the real path of knowledge. Very interesting point. Okay, so then this was yesterday, but I didn't have enough time to get all these references, and especially this last one, which is very important. Okay, so now we're going to go forward real quickly. So what we didn't finish yesterday, that Krishna has what's called affection for his unalloyed devotee. And Prabhupada says, in the history of the mundane world, we can appreciate his transcendental qualities, meaning Krishna's transcendental qualities. The Lord incarnates himself for the protection of his devotees. He doesn't have to incarnate in this material. He doesn't have to come to the material world. But he does it specifically for the protection of his devotees. That just shows his affection for his devotees, you see. The Lord incarnates himself for the protection of his devotees and for the annihilation of the faithless. His activities are in relationship with his devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of such activities of the Lord in relationship with his devotees, and the non-devotees have no knowledge of such pastimes. The Lord lifted Govardhana hill when he was only 7 years old and protected his pure devotees at Vrindavana from the wrath of Indra, who was overflooding the place with rain. Now, this lifting of the Govardhan Hill by a 7-year-old boy may be unbelievable for the faithless, but for the devotees, it is absolutely believable. The devotee believes in the almighty potency of the Lord, while the faithless say that the Lord is almighty, but do not believe it. The faithless, that means people who are acting like devotees, but they don't actually believe it. Such men with a poor fund of knowledge do not know that the Lord is the Lord eternally, and that one cannot become the Lord by meditation for millions of years or by mental speculation for billions of years. The impersonal interpretation of the mundane wranglers is completely refuted in this verse, because it is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord has his qualities, form, pastimes, and everything that a person has. All these descriptions of the transcendental nature of the personality of Godhead are factual realizations by the devotee of the Lord, and by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they are revealed to his pure devotee and to no one else. Wow. So we see, when we become dear to Krishna, that's when we receive knowledge. And how do you become dear to Krishna? By steady and continuous devotional service, uninterrupted. So that's explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd canto, where it says that the actual definition of love of Krishna. Okay, so because it's uninterrupted and unmotivated by any material desire. That's the key. There's no material motive, and it's uninterrupted. There are no vacations. Okay. All right, so now today, 2nd canto, 9th chapter, 33rd verse. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains would also be I, the personality of Godhead. So this conception of I is very important. The Mayavadis get it all confused. But here we're going to hear a brilliant explanation by Prabhupada that will end any Mayavadi confusion. He says, we should note very carefully that the personality of God is addressing Lord Brahma and specifying with great emphasis himself, pointing out that it is he, the personality of Godhead, who existed before the creation. It is he only who maintains the creation, and it is he only who remains after the annihilation of the creation. Brahma is also a creation of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, or the absolute truth, is identical with the Lord, the principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more than the principle of I, as explained in this verse. So they take this verse and they give their own interpretation, which we just read. In other words, Krishna, Brahma, same thing. It's like the Chinese guy, same thing. But it's not true. Now we're going to hear the truth. Accepting the argument of the impersonalists, it is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator, I, and that Brahma is the created I. Therefore, there is a difference between the two I's, namely the predominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's, even accepting the argument of the impersonalists. But we must note carefully that these two I's are accepted in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad, in the sense of quality. The Katha Upanishad says, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kamam. The creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as qualitatively one, because both of them are Nityas and Chaitanas, eternal and full of knowledge. But the singular I is the creator I, And the created eyes are of plural number because there are many eyes like Brahma and those generated by Brahma. It is the simple truth. The Father creates or begets the Son. The Son also creates many other sons, and all of them may be one as human beings, but at the same time, from the Father, the Son and the grandsons are all different. The Son cannot take the place of the Father, nor can the grandsons. Simultaneously, the Father, the sons, and the grandsons are one and different also. As human beings, they are one, but as relativities, they are different. Therefore, the relativities of the Creator and the created, or the predominator and the predominated, have been differentiated in the Vedas by saying that the predominator eye is the feeder of the predominated eyes, and thus there is a vast difference between the two principles of eye. So this verse, Nityo Nityanam, it says that there are many, many eternals. Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kama. But there is, and these eternals also have knowledge. But there's one eternal who feeds all the other eternals. So that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, for example, all of us are equal to Krishna in eternity because we're all Sat. All of us have knowledge also in our liberated state, right? We know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Sat, Chit, Ananda. But not when it comes to Ananda, because the Lord's transcendental emotions are constantly increasing at a very, very fast pace, and we can hardly understand it. See, just like Narada Muni goes to Dwarka because he hears that Krishna is simultaneously present with each of the 16,000 wives, and with each he's got 10 sons and so forth. It's it's hard for him to believe it. So he goes there, and he sees it himself, although it's beyond his imagination, and he's just overwhelmed. See, so we are equal as far as eternity goes, but we cannot say that we're equal as far as complete knowledge goes or complete bliss, because both of those things are constantly increasing. So as soon as we try and measure it, it increases. So it's bewildering, right? Okay, we'll stop right there, and we'll continue tomorrow. And we're hearing more and more about Krishna now. This is amazing. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The more we hear about Krishna, the more we desire to hear about Krishna. Yes?
Maharaj, in the verse 1865,
Yes.
You have read that one line, he should arrange his life in
Such a way.
that throughout the
24 hours a day.
hours he cannot but think of Krishna.
Yeah.
So my question is,
I'll give you an example. There are people, 24 hours a day, they're thinking of having sex. Even when they sleep, they're dreaming about it. But yet they function in society. Right? They go to work, they come home, they go to Costco, they go here, they go there, they do all these things. But yet, inside, the wheel is turning always about sense gratification. Is that a fact? But they're functioning, aren't they, in society? They're not paralyzed. See, this is a false idea. Think all day long about Krishna. It's impossible. No, they're thinking all day long about sports, about the stock market, about sense gratification, about so many things. They're thinking 24 hours a day about these things. There are sports junkies. there are sense gratification junkies, there are stock market junkies, you know, and there's and because of that, you have 24-hour television programming. You have 24-hour news, 24-hour weather, 24-hour sports, 24-hour movies, 24-hour stock market, 24-hour shopping. Those are all, you know, part of the channels that you can purchase on your television. Is it right? Yeah. And people are purchasing them. Why? Because 24 hours a day, they want to see what bargains they can get, or they want to see who won this race or that race, or what the stock market did. Because the stock market never stops. It's going on 24 hours a day. As soon as it stops in New York, it starts up in Hong Kong. So you can follow the stocks 24 hours a day all over the world. You see? And that's why they have these channels. You have to pay for them. So it's not impossible to think of one thing 24 hours a day and still function in society. You get the point? Haribol.
I have one follow-up question, but I can ask.
Okay. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bando Mui Sabadana Mate Sabadana Mate Janara Prasade Bhai He Bhava Doriya Jai Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Goriya Arana Koriya Maneya Sa Arana Koriya Maneya Sa Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Ye Prasade Pure Sarva asa. Ye prasade pure sarva asa. Chakshudana dilaje janme janme prabhu se. Chakshudana dilaje janme janme prabhu se. Divya Gyani de Prakasito. Prema Bhakti Jaha Hote Avidya Vinasa Jate. Vedigai Janara Charito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adana Jarara Bandhu. Lokana Lokera Chivana. Prabhu Kora Doya Deya More Pada Jaya. Eveya Sakashakti Bhuvana. Eveya Sakashakti Bhuvana. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajika Chasta Tarasatara Shri Shimali's Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav in the ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sikha Hosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Sri Vasi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samakunda Radha Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Harpur Dham ki jai. Chakapuri Dham ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Ganga Maya ki jai. Jamuna Maya ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Preminda. All glories to Samaveda. All glories to Samaveda. All glories to Samaveda. All glories to Shiguru and Shigaranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Patita Pavani ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vestaya Bhuti Smati Bhakti Swant. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Pacharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskati Rastana. Haribo Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection and fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master, the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and Lord and master of devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread throughout all the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutili Srimati Bhakti Vinodha Swami Tinam. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Varachari. Yisesa Sinyavadi Paskatya Desatani.